Hello again. This evening I was getting ready to germinate some more seeds of this beautiful dewy pine, and I figured what better time to give a brief overview of the plant and how I germinate these quite difficult seeds. My name's Larry and this is a 5 Hearts video. This is the Drosophyllum, the dewy pine, where most carnivorous plants live in bogs and wetlands or cloud mountains with constantly wet substrate and high humidity. These plants grow in a very Mediterranean climate where they experience long, dry summers, very hot, and cool, wet winters. So it makes them quite different when compared to every other carnivorous plant out there, and it really is the coolest, in my opinion, outside of Nepenthes. So as I said, the biggest difference is their soil. These guys live in coastal, sandy, rocky areas with very little moisture content, and in fact the easiest way to kill them is by overwatering and root rotting them, something you really don't have to worry about with other carnivorous plants. Now this can be beneficial, but it can also be kind of difficult to work with, depending on your climate. But here in Victoria, BC, we have a slightly similar climate to these Mediterranean places, other than the fact we don't get as much heat. But what I've been doing has been working, so I figured might as well give you the lowdown here. So these are fairly short-lived perennial plants that grow reasonably fast, so you don't have to worry about starting with a small plant, because in the first year you end up with a flowering specimen, and in the second year, like this plant here, you end up with a very mature large plant. Now, being late May here, we are just seeing the real growth start. We've had a pretty cool spring so far, and actually really cold and windy right now, so we're in the greenhouse doing this video. One of the coolest things about these plants are they are monocarpic, meaning they only fruit once or flower once, similar to what a pineapple does. So you do have to get in there and clean up these old growths like this. Well, you don't need to, but visual appeal, you want to. Look at how many plants are coming up. So many little plantlets in there. This is going to be a nice season for them. Now, like these guys' distant relative, the sundew, not their closest relative, that's actually the Nepenthes. These guys use little sticky droplets of mucilage to trap their prey. And where sundews will use the leaf to wrap up and grab the prey, these guys just have such a thick mucilage that once an insect touches it, they get stuck to the branch, and they try to use the leaf here to crawl off of it, just covering themselves in more and more slime and getting themselves more and more trapped. Let's see how gooey that is there on my finger. I don't know if I can pick it up. Let's see. Look at that. Now, the reason you don't often see these in cultivation is because they're just so easy to overwater. Pretty much once they are past their adolescent stage and they start producing flowers, you want to treat them like a desert plant and allow them to dry almost all the way out, and just give them a semi-regular watering, you know, weekly, bi-weekly, depending on how hot your climate is. And if you do that, you end up with a perfectly healthy plant. For me here on the west coast, I just keep them up against a southern wall over winter where they're under an overhang. Without an overhang, I'd probably suggest building some kind of awning or covering for them, just to keep them from getting too soggy. And then for the summer months, just keep them in these nursery pots here that have these slots, or you can use terracotta pots as well. 8 to 10 inch pots are recommended. The main thing is, when you're repotting them or putting them into their final home, is that you don't disturb the roots. So that's why we ship them in either coco coir or peat based pots that break down, so that you can just plant them into their final pot and leave their roots alone. Typically root disturbance is fatal for them, so you really want to avoid it when you can. They're just beautiful plants with large yellow flowers, and the scent of them, it smells like honey. And in the summer, during the hottest, driest time, you can smell it like 3 feet away. It's just cool plant all around. I really suggest trying to grow it. Alright, let's head inside and I'll take a closer look at the seed and tell you how I finally, after ordering seeds multiple years in a row, figured out how to get great germination.
Okay guys, it's time for our first giveaway. Since this is our first one, we figured we might as well make it exciting and have 2 prizes. First up, we have for only Canadian watchers, this mature Dewy Pine, shipped to your door free of cost. And since we don't ship plant prizes internationally and we didn't want to leave anyone out, we decided it's best to have a secondary prize eligible for worldwide shipping. That prize being this pack of at least 50 Dewy Pine seeds. To enter, you need to do these 4 things. First, subscribe to our channel if you're not already. Second, like this video. Third, share this video. And then once you've done all that, comment "done" down below. We are going to give this some time for people to enter, so we will do a live stream on June 20th for the summer solstice, and it will start right at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time. Good luck!
Alright, these are Dewy Pine seeds. They're tiny black seeds, teardrop shaped, with a very hard coating on them. Germination for me was quite difficult to get at first. It took me, 3 or 4 attempts ordering seeds once a year, and failure after failure. I tried sanding them. I don't know if I was going too deep or not deep enough, but it never worked for me. I'd end up with moldy seeds. I tried surface sowing. I tried sowing underneath the soil. I tried different media mixes, different temperatures, and nothing seemed to work for me. When I was complaining about this to somebody online, they explained to me their method, and my first attempt, I started seeing the results I was looking for. And that is using nail clippers and clipping off the pointed end of the seeds. I'll show you how I did that in just a second here. Now the goal is to make it through the seed casing but not damage the kernel. So the way you do that is you just slowly apply pressure until you feel the shell give way. And then you're left with a little white tip of the kernel protruding past the seed, or the seed shell. And you want to get that in the water right away. I just use tap water because in Victoria our water is fairly clean. It's been safe for all my carnivorous plants. And once you get them in the water, you want to soak them for 36 to 48 hours for best results in my experience. And once they're soaked, I like to use a pair of tweezers as to not add any extra germs or whatnot to the soil. And what I'm going to do is just stick the white tip into the soil and have the seeds stand up on end. This helps the root penetrate right away and not dry out on me, as I've had happen before. See there's a couple sticking out right there. And I like to do 2 per pot just in case one doesn't make it, and if they both do, then I just sacrifice the smallest out of the 2. For germination media, I've tried a bunch of different ways, and what's worked best for me so far has been just 50% peat moss and 50% perlite. No pro mix or fortified mixes or nutrients or lime or pH buffers, you know. You don't want any of that. You just want straight peat moss, straight perlite, and mixed at a 50-50 ratio. Now this only is for their germination pods here. Once you get them planted out, you're going to want them into something that dries out relatively quickly. A very sandy, porous mix is best, but experiment. It's all fun, right? Alright, and here we have a tray that I sowed about 4 days ago. They're just so cute at this size. Look at those little guys, little tiny arms sticking up. As you can see, almost every tray already has at least one of the 2 germinating out of it at just a few days in. Given another week, I'd imagine we're pretty close to 100% in there. Hope these tips can help you out in growing your own Dewy Pines and enjoying the plant like I do. Happy growing, guys.